we have to go to a favorite segment of all of our listeners, IP in the news. And so what do we have on the table tonight for IP in the news? We have laughter. That's always good. So actually that was fake laughter. We don't have anybody in the studio, but we are going to talk about the man who invented fake laughter. And I guess a long time ago, and I guess it really is a long time ago, back in the 50s and 60s, they used to tape television programs in New York in front of live audiences. And when the industry moved to Hollywood, it was decided that they weren't going to have live audiences anymore. And so this brilliant man, Charlie Douglas, came up with the laugh track machine, and they actually called it the laugh box. And he got a patent on it in 1963, but it included reels of laughter that he spliced out of shows. And then depending on what kind of effect he wanted, he could press a button on the machine and it would play this tape and the laughter would occur and everybody would have the sound of laughter in the background.
Well, so, I just used my phone for that.
Yeah, I know. And so in any case, it's interesting though how television productions frequently use laugh tracks to make their programs sound funnier. And I guess there's just something in the human brain that wants to laugh when they hear other people laughing.
Well, sometimes I'm like, who is laughing at that?
and so without a laugh track, lots of times I make jokes and everybody's just sits there kind of stone faced.
So I want to hear what the rest of the people here think about this.
I'm ready to go too. It's time for Richard's Roundtable, and we'd love to hear from our guests about this, the patent, or really any topics about intellectual property. So Katie, welcome to the show, and please let us know what you think.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, what I've seen over the past decade, when I see live audiences and I'll see the person going like this to the people to like laugh, but then they'll also have the laugh pad too. So they'll do both. And then they probably added it in the post. So Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball. So I think Carol Burnett had live shows, right? And then did Lucille Ball have the live, or was it the laugh pad?
I can't remember, but
there's a new movie coming out about her, so maybe we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out. And but there is definitely, like, for example, if you watch Big Bang Theory, it's full of laugh track stuff, and so the tradition continues, I guess, and I guess it adds to the entertainment value of the program, right?
Right, but I bet his patent has expired, so.
Yeah, it's
other
expired.
People are making the money.
Yeah, and wow. It's a big wooden box about the size of a file cabinet, and they had all these tapes in there, and you'd push a button. So
okay, so move on to James.
Okay,
cool.
James, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think just looking at all of the stuff that I'm doing, I think it's brilliant that they did file a patent on that technology that would induce laughter in other people, and that's all based on probably like psychological triggers and things like that. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. And there's a lot of stuff that we have at our disposal now, technology like this, where we can create experiences, we can create scenarios that would allow a person to enjoy something or to have a heightened emotional state in a particular experience. And I think that's just kind of cool. And those were some of probably the founding things with media and entertainment was, hey, we found that if we play this laugh track that everybody else will laugh. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think there's something about being in an audience, right? It's different to watch a movie in a theater than it is to watch it on your television at home, right? So this is the theory behind that, I guess. So Emily, what are your thoughts?
Well, Katie, you made me think of going to live tapings of different shows I've been a part of over the years. And you got to really give it up for the hype men and women who get those real sounds of laughter or cheers going before the show. They're the real VIPs. But it also made me think of when Dancing with the Stars came back. They were one of the first shows to come back during the pandemic. They had no audience. And I remember watching it just because I'm like, how are they going to do this? And the show opens with Tyra Banks walking forward with just tons of cheering coming from these fake slot machines. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable and so cringy, but also so happy that someone showed up trying to figure this out, because we still needed entertainment. We still needed to hear the fun and the cheers and the laughter, to really have the experience to kind of like build that bridge from what used to be to what is the now able to offer.
Right. That's a really interesting point. And you sort of wonder, audiences can be unpredictable at times, right? So if you're working on a project and the writers think something is going to be good, but in real life, you don't have the opportunity to refine it. So if you're in the theater, for example, you get to test the lines and you get to tune it because it's done over time, but you really don't have that luxury if you're taping content. So I think this kind of evens out the playing field a little bit, right? So, Lynn, what are your thoughts?
Well, I started off my career before I became an inventor. I was actually a stage manager on The View and many other ABC television shows. And we always had, which I guess, not a lot of people know, but there's always an audience warm-up person who goes in there and like Katie and Emily were saying, who hypes up the audience and gets them really excited and, just gets the energy up. And that is so important because like you said, laughter is infectious. And if you're going in with the right mentality at the beginning, it's going to make the actors so much more vivid and excited, and the performance is going to be much better. And I know you guys were talking about Carol Burnett. I'm just telling you, did not need a laugh track when Harvey Korman and Tim Conway were on. Because they were so darn funny when Tim Conway would be the old man and kind of shuffling around. I mean, that was so funny. So I think just sometimes you need it and sometimes you don't.
So Kenya, come on, what have you got to say about all this stuff?
I agree with Lynn. I think especially when it came to Lucille Ball, she was so sporadically funny. I can't imagine having to use a laugh track with her. But what makes me really interested about this innovation is it really has set the benchmark for how things move forward. So I think about the virtual reality space, a lot of things that are going on there in terms of just creating these experiences, making them feel live for people. It's this invention plus all these extra moving parts. So just so interesting, how things evolve over time and where we are as a society.
Right. And it really is. It's great because the point of entertainment, as opposed to maybe infotainment or some other types of communication, is for people to have a good time. Right. And so anything you can do to enhance that experience is positive for everybody. So I think that's a really acute observation, Kenya, and I appreciate it. So we are at the end of the segment and we need to take a commercial break, but we'll be right back with more Passage to Profit right after